Now let's talk about saturation. We already have saturation applied on the actual group track of all of these drums. So we have that covered, but we could apply saturation to any of these. So let's say this sound, which is, also sidechained off the kick drum. So it stops playing. It's attenuated every time the kick drum hits. Now what I could do is add some saturation right there onto those sounds. This last three. Yep, like that. I think I get a better result if I do that before the actual sidechain. So I'm making these dirtier and I'm cutting off their, highest transient points. Let's see if that's something that we want from this track, but I have to hear that in the context of the entire song. Now you see, if you don't hear the difference, once they don't have the saturator, they're much less controlled. So I'm using this saturator also as a kind of a clipper, limiter, and also a saturator to add color to this sound. So you can feel that, tiny bit of distortion coming out of that saturation, but it's also that those higher harmonics that weren't there being added on top. So let's listen to that with and without. So you can see some of the lower parts right here of the spectrum not being so clear anymore and not being so prominent through the mix also. So I'm also taking care of that, of course. So yeah, I do like it much better like this. They sound more flat, more controlled, always, keeping their volumes. When I don't do that, when I don't add this saturation in a sense of soft clipping and all of that, all of these sounds, they sometimes, have a constructive phase addition, sometimes, destructive phase cancellation in between them. And that causes for some of these notes to be louder, some of them to be, quieter. Now, when I add this saturation, not only that I add color, but I also, by clipping the output, I'm adding some control to the volume. So I'm making this way more controlled, like adding distortion onto a guitar. I like that a lot. So not only that we have saturation on the drums, we have it on this sound too. Now, I don't think it would sound good on any of these other sounds, and I'll tell you why, because they have a lot of reverb. If I added saturation on top of any of these sounds, because they already have a reverb on them, that would really ruin the reverb. So they wouldn't really have that, effect of space. That reverb would also be saturated and distorted, and that would just become a part of the sound. So I would actually kill the atmosphere, the illusion of space that those we're actually making. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave the saturation only on this track right here.